The trading outpost on Vendara Prime hummed with the usual chaos of a dozen species bartering for supplies. Neon signs flickered in alien scripts. Above market stalls where vendors hawked everything from nutrient paste to black market plasma cores. The air reeked of ozone and something vaguely sulfurous that made most humans gag. Emma Hayes sat alone at a corner table in the cantina, nursing a cup of something that barely qualified as coffee. She looked unremarkable by human standards. Average height, brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, wearing a faded jacket that had seen better days. To the various species around her, she appeared even less impressive. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community, and most aliens viewed them as soft, weak primitives who had stumbled into space travel through dumb luck. 3 Kryn pirates noticed her almost immediately. The reptilian species had a reputation for cruelty and a particular fondness for tormenting those they perceived as helpless. The largest of them, a scarred brute named Rakdos, nudged his companions and gestured toward Emma with a clawed hand. "Look at that," Rakdos hissed in the common tongue. "A human, all alone. No weapons I can see." His companions, Vorn and Jek, clicked their jaws in amusement. The Kryn had been looking for entertainment, and hassling a lone human seemed like easy fun. They approached her table with deliberate menace, their taloned feet clicking on the metal floor. Other patrons noticed, but quickly looked away. Nobody intervened in Kryn business if they wanted to keep their limbs attached. "Human," Rakdos growled, looming over Emma's table. "You're in my seat." Emma looked up slowly, her expression neutral. "There are plenty of empty tables." Rakdos slammed a clawed hand down on the table, making her cup rattle. "I don't think you heard me, soft skin. This is my seat. And that's my drink. And maybe I want your credits too." Emma sighed and set down her cup. "I really don't want trouble." "Too bad," Vorn sneered, reaching for her shoulder. What happened next occurred so fast that most witnesses would later disagree on the exact sequence of events. Emma's hand moved in a blur, catching Vorn's wrist and twisting it with a sickening crack. The Kryn's scream had barely begun when she drove her palm into his throat, crushing his windpipe. As Vorn crumpled, Emma was already moving. She grabbed her metal cup and hurled it at Jek's face. The impact shattered his orbital bone, sending him staggering backward. Before Rakdos could react, Emma vaulted over the table and delivered a devastating kick to his knee joint. The crack echoed through the suddenly silent cantina. As Rakdos fell, she caught his head and slammed it into the table edge once, twice, 3 times. His skull made a wet crunching sound on the third impact. The entire fight lasted perhaps 4 seconds. Emma straightened her jacket and looked down at the 3 broken bodies. Vorn was already dead. Jek was unconscious and bleeding. Rakdos twitched once and went still. The cantina remained frozen in shocked silence. Then someone near the back whispered a name, and it spread through the crowd like wildfire. "Yaga? Did he say Yaga?" The human said her name was Hayes, as in Baba Hayes. "Oh, stars, she's the daughter." Emma closed her eyes briefly, as if tired. "Yes," she said to the room at large. "My mother is Baba Hayes, though most of you know her by her old name, Baba Yaga." The crowd collectively recoiled. Several patrons got up and left immediately, nearly running for the exits dot to the newer species in the galaxy. The name meant nothing. But to those who had been part of the galactic community for longer, to those who remembered the early days of human integration, Baba Yaga was a legend. And not the friendly kind. An old Vexian trader in the corner began explaining to his confused companion in hushed tones. 20 years ago, a human woman appeared on Omega Station, called herself Baba Yaga, said she was a witch. Most of us laughed. Humans seemed so weak, so fragile. Then the Thros cartel tried to enslave her. The Vexian's companion leaned in. What happened? She killed 300 of them. Not with weapons. With her bare hands. With found objects. With things that shouldn't have been able to kill anything. She turned the cartel's fortress into a nightmare. Left the survivors so traumatized they disbanded. When Galactic Security finally arrived, they found her sitting in the cartel boss's chair, wearing his skin as a cloak. That's impossible. They have footage. Most governments classified it. But I've seen it. Humans, we learned, are from a death world. High gravity, aggressive predators, diseases that would wipe out most species. They evolved to survive conditions that would kill us. And Baba Yaga was something special even among humans. She'd been trained as something called a Special Forces operative in our world's military. Then she studied with people called martial artists who spent their entire lives learning to kill efficiently. The companion stared at Emma, who had calmly sat back down and was trying to flag down a server for a refill. And that's her daughter? Trained by Baba Yaga herself, according to the rumors. The human diplomatic corps tried to keep it quiet, but word spread. There are 3 beings in known space you don't touch. Admiral Corvin of the Hegemony Fleet, the Wraith of Andromeda, and anyone related to Baba Yaga. Within an hour, the station's security had arrived. The captain, a weary-looking Dralian named Court, approached Emma's table with obvious reluctance. "Miss Hayes," he said carefully, "I need to ask you about the incident." "Self-defense," Emma replied without looking up from her fresh cup of coffee. "They attacked first. There are at least 40 witnesses." Court nodded slowly. "I've already taken statements. They all confirm your account. The Kryn have a history of violence. No charges will be filed." He hesitated. "Your mother as well?" "She's retired. Runs a small farm on a colony world now. Grows vegetables." The security captain visibly relaxed. "Good, that's good." He started to leave, then turned back. "Miss Hayes, might I offer some advice? The Kryn operate in clans. These 3 have relatives. It might be wise to move on from Vendara Prime." Emma finally looked up at him, and Court took an involuntary step back from what he saw in her eyes. They were calm, but behind that calm was something vast and cold and utterly without mercy. "Let them come," she said quietly. "Tell them exactly who I am. Tell them what happened to the last people who came after my mother looking for revenge. Tell them that I am Baba Yaga's daughter, and I was raised in her house, and I learned at her knee. Tell them that human mothers don't just teach their children to survive. We teach them to win." Court swallowed hard and nodded. "I'll make sure the message is clear." As he left, Emma returned her attention to her coffee. Around her, the cantina slowly returned to normal, though patrons gave her table a wide berth. Someone put credits on the bar to cover her tab. Someone else quietly had the bodies removed not an hour later. A young human trader named Tom approached her table nervously. He'd only been in space for 6 months and hadn't heard the stories. "Excuse me," he said. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I heard what happened. I wanted to thank you." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Thank me?" "The Kryn have been harassing human traders for months. Station security won't do anything because they're afraid of starting a clan war. But maybe now they'll think twice." Emma studied the young man for a moment. "Sit down," she said, gesturing to the empty chair. Tom sat, looking both nervous and grateful. "You're new to space," Emma said. It wasn't a question. "Let me tell you something about the galaxy. Most species here, they evolved on gentler worlds than Earth. Lower gravity. Fewer predators. Easier conditions. They look at us and see weak, soft creatures. They don't understand what we are. What are we?" Tom asked. "Survivors," Emma said simply. Earth tried to kill us for millions of years, and we refused to die. We climbed to the top of the food chain on a planet that didn't want us there. Every human carries that legacy in their bones. We're pack hunters, endurance predators. We can survive injuries that would kill most species. We can keep going when others would collapse. And we never, ever stop fighting. She leaned forward. My mother taught me that the galaxy needed to learn one lesson about humans. We're kind until we can't afford to be. We're gentle until gentleness becomes weakness. But when you push us, when you hurt us, when you threaten what we love, we become something else entirely. Something that climbed out of Earth's nightmares and learned to walk among the stars. Tom nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. The Kryn won't bother you again, Emma continued. Word will spread. Not because they're afraid of me specifically, but because I reminded them what humans are. We're the species that looked at a death world and decided to call it home. We're the species that took our apex predators and turned them into pets. We're the species that invented the concept of spite and turned it into an art form. She finished her coffee and stood. Stay safe out here, Tom. And remember, being human means you're tougher than you think. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. As Emma left the cantina, Tom watched her go, feeling something shift in his understanding of himself and his species. Around the outpost, the story was already spreading. The Kryn clans received the message, and after heated debate, decided that some prey simply wasn't worth hunting. And somewhere on a distant colony world, an old woman tending her vegetable garden smiled, sensing somehow that her daughter had honored the family legacy.